Check this out. Every single detail is in focus, right from those front steps all the way to gringotts at the back. This is done with focus stacking, and if you like to shoot with the shallow depth of field as much as I do, this technique is a game changer. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to nail it in camera. I'm going to use my Nikon Z6III, then pull it all together in Photoshop afterwards, and then probably send it off to Dehancer for a little bit more editing after that. I've got my Nikon Z6III with a 35mm f1.8 lens here, and what I'm going to shoot is this, my Lego model of Diagon Alley. I'm going to use f2, that will give me a nice shallow depth of field, which obviously isn't going to cover the entire model, which is exactly why I need to use focus stacking. First of all, I'm going to set up the camera to take the pictures and then change the focus for me. I'm going to get it set up to focus on the very front of the model here. So in the camera, hit photo shooting menu, find focus shift shooting, which is all the way down at the bottom here. The number of shots. This is the amount of pictures that the camera will take. For a landscape, you'll probably want a smaller number than you do for something like a Lego model that's nice and close to you. A focus width step. This is how big the steps are when your focusing changes position. As with the number of shots, this will alter between the different subjects that you're taking pictures of, with a smaller step being needed for this kind of close subject. Interval until next shot. This is more important if you're using a flash, so that the flash has got time to get ready for the next one. I'm going to leave it at 0. The first frame exposure lock. If this is on, it will lock the settings for the exposure on that very first shot. Otherwise, it will adjust for each shot automatically. Electronic shutter options. You can choose whether to override the shutter settings and just use the electronic shutter for this process, with or without audio. Auto reset focus position. At the end, do you want the camera to put the focus back to where we started, or do you just want to leave it where it ended up? If you're kind of on a tripod and got things set up and just replacing the thing in front of you, you might want to go back to the beginning. Starting storage folder. You can create a new folder for your focus stack, or you can reset the numbering to 0. This just makes it a bit easier to keep track of your images before you import them into Photoshop. The other option that you've got is pixel shift shooting, but we're going to leave that for another day, so I'm going to leave that one off. The key is consistency. Keep the camera absolutely still. You need a tripod for this, it's non-negotiable. Every tiny shift, every movement, everything that changes is going to make lining those pictures up in Photoshop a nightmare. I've also made sure that my memory card has plenty of room on it and my battery has enough charge on it. I don't want either of those causing a problem either. Now, you need to remember that the camera will begin at the point at which you focus it, and then it will continue to make those small adjustments towards infinity. In other words, start at the front and the camera will automatically move towards the back. Right, I've got my set of 40 images now, so I want to get them into Photoshop. So let's highlight them, and then I'm going to go to File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. Here's the trap you don't want to fall in. Don't tick Create Smart Object after loading layers. Why? Because the next step, when we auto blend these layers, that needs individual layers. It looks at each frame, it masks the sharpest bits and puts all of those bits together. If it's a smart object, it breaks that. It looks like everything is one thing. Now that the images are loaded into a single document and nicely aligned, I can ask Photoshop to do the hard work for me. Previously, I would have had to do all this manually, but if we go to Edit and then Auto Blend Layers, we can then choose to stack our images using seamless tones and colors to make sure that they look consistent, and then Content Aware Fill the transparent areas. We've got these tick boxes, so let's tick those as well. So what do these settings mean? The seamless tones and colors option gets Photoshop to look at each layer individually and then tweak the brightness and the color so that they all match before it then starts blending them together. If the layers have to shift slightly to make them align properly, you get transparent gaps at the edges. Using the Content Aware Fill option, this fills it in automatically using information from around those pixels. Now that we have our image looking good, we can go into Layer and then Flatten Image to merge everything into a single layer ready for exporting. What I would say is we can zoom in and check over the image just to make sure that everything is looking how we want it to. Then we're able to export it as a TIFF or a JPEG, whatever you want, ready to add a little something extra in Enhancer. And that's it, that's the whole process. It's a sharp image throughout, it's graded nicely in Enhancer, and if you're using a shallower depth of field, it gives you so much detail as you go. So this technique is really useful, and it opens up lots of different shots that you probably didn't think were possible before without going to a really high F number. So I recommend going and practicing with this. Get something to take pictures of, or go out into the landscape and try it out. See what you get from it. I hope you learned something today, and I'll see you again soon. So have a great week. Bye.